Hello, Bad-Tempered Badger here. Answers in Genesis has put out a little article saying that atheism is a religion. I thought I'd have a read through and grade them on their understanding of atheism. Now, as this article references the Australian census, I thought I'd bring in some help with expertise in that field. Please welcome NotJah Witness.
G'day everyone, g'day Badger, how you all doing?
You see, Ken, that's how proper research is done. You get someone with expertise in the field to assist you.
Thank you very much, Badger, for having me on to help you with this. We're going to go through Atheism is Religion, an article written by Troy Lacey and Ken Ham.
I will, of course, be using the commonly understood definition of a lack of belief in a god or gods. Steve.
Atheism is religion.
Wrong from the title onwards. From the Oxford English Dictionary, religion, the belief in and worship of a superhuman controlling power, especially a personal god or gods. Atheism, disbelief or lack of belief in the existence of God or gods. They just don't fit, I'm afraid. Let's continue.
Atheists down under are worried. Do atheists have beliefs? Of course they do. Atheists believe that matter arose by natural processes. Can they prove this? Not at all. Atheists believe the universe, all life, the laws of nature, and laws of logic arose by natural processes. Can they prove this? Of course not. But they believe it to be so.
Not necessarily, chap. It's not part of being an atheist, but most atheists do accept scientific understanding, which does not include the supernatural, as there's no evidence for any of it.
Atheists believe they cease to exist after they die. Can they prove this? No, but they believe this is what happens.
No, Ken. Atheists accept that there's no evidence for anything beyond that.
Atheists believe no God exists. Can they prove this? Not at all. It's their belief.
Now that's a bit of a contentious issue at the moment. There's a disagreement between those who prefer the philosophical definition used by academics and those who prefer to use the general use colloquial definition, often used in conversation. I fall on the colloquial side, and will be using the lack of belief definition for this video.
Merriam-Webster Dictionary defines the word religion this way: the state of a religious, the service and worship of God or the supernatural, commitment or devotion to religious faith or observance, a personal set or institutionalized system of religious attitudes, beliefs, and practices, archaic, scrupulous conformity, conscientiousness, a cause, principle, or system of beliefs held to with ardor and faith.
That's true, it does. Most dictionaries I've read, though, define it as the belief in and reverence for a supernatural power or powers regarded as creating and governing the universe. 2. A particular variety of such belief, especially when organized into a system of doctrine and practice. This definition is clearer and makes the supernatural aspect obvious.
Even though he has not labelled himself as such, Bill Nye, for all intents and purposes, is a practicing atheist.
That's not a thing, Ken. There are no practices involved other than not believing in a god or gods.
Look at this short video clip as I was speaking to him recently at the Ark Encounter, where he admitted to believing life arose by natural processes. He has a belief, a religion. Atheists have a system of belief held to with ardor and faith. Atheists are very religious people.
You don't believe in God, right?
That aside, here's where we disagree.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this: do you believe life came about by natural processes?
Yes.
Okay, so you've got that belief. So
yes.
You don't start with evidence; you start with the belief.
No, I claim I started with evidence to reach that belief.
Well, Ken, he also says, I started with evidence to reach that belief, something that religion does not require or encourage. In fact, AiG specifically prohibits it.
Now, in the United States, atheists have conducted a propaganda campaign to try to brainwash the public into believing that people who believe in God are religious, but those who don't believe in God are not religious.
That's not propaganda, Ken. That's what words mean.
Because of this atheist propaganda, many have been indoctrinated to believe that when secularists get the Bible out of public schools or crosses and nativity scenes out of public places, they removed religion so the situation could be neutral. However, the reality is that these secularists have imposed their atheistic religion on the schools and culture in general.
As required in the US Constitution, Ken, church and state are separate to allow freedom of and freedom from religion. That means any and all religious practices are considered equal, along with no religious practice. I'm sure you wouldn't like someone praying to pagan gods in schools, would you?
As Jesus taught, "He who is not with me is against me, and he who does not gather with me scatters." There is no neutral position. No person has no religion. Everyone has a religion, and ultimately it comes down to those who are for the true God and those who are not.
So what then do you call someone who looks at all the available religions and rejects them? What would you call someone who's never come across religion in their lives? Would you call someone who just doesn't give a shit and doesn't want to be bothered with any of it? I'd put them down on the census form as no religion.
Now atheists from down under have been desperately trying to convince people in Australia that they have no religion. Tuesday, August 9 in Census Night in Australia, though people have several weeks to complete it, every 5 years all Australian citizens are required to fill out the census form. As in America, census results help the government figure out where and how government funds are allocated. These allocations can seriously impact Christian organisations such as Christian schools, charities, chaplain offices and other religiously affiliated organisations.
Why, Ken, should a religious organisation be able to claim any assistance from the state?
Of particular concern is question 19, which is the only optional question on the census form. This question is the religious identity question. Several different options are available, including 6 Christian denominations as well as Islam, Hinduism and Buddhism. There is also an other category to mark, and then additional information needs to be supplied in the text box. But what makes this question stand out is that no religion is the first option to choose from. Now, this is absurd because no one can claim they have no religion, so that option should be totally deleted from the census form.
People can and do claim they have no religion, Ken, because religion is not universal. It is a type of thought that some people do not have or want.
However, according to the Canberra Declaration newsletter, the reason why this choice occurs first is that the Atheist Foundation of Australia lobbied for it 3 years ago.
Well, of course. They lobbied to fix an omission and correct a pervasive attitude that religion is universal, which it clearly isn't.
It's possible that some people may select this box simply because it appears first, especially if they're hurrying through the form, or if at first glance they don't see their own religious affiliation listed. This would be detrimental to religious organisations, as government subsidies may be cut or diminished based on the answer to this question. But a religious affiliation is a totally different matter from claiming one has no religion anyway. As well as listing various denominations, Islam and so on, atheism should be listed as the religion as opposed to no religion for those who choose this affiliation.
Why? It's not a religion. No title covers the whole atheist, agnostic, anti-theist, non-believing umbrella quite as concisely as the simple phrase, no religion.
Much campaigning about nothing. In fact, this potential cutting of government funding may be just the hope of the Atheist Foundation. In the weeks leading up to tomorrow's census, the Atheist Foundation of Australia launched a Mark No Religion website and have been conducting an advertising campaign to encourage people to do so. Some of the tactics appear aimed at making unsure or undecided people use this option. There has also been an attempt by the Atheist Foundation of Australia to encourage teens and children to be counted as no religion, claiming that only adults can validly claim a religion. Of course, part of the atheist campaign is to try to indoctrinate young people in particular that atheists don't have a religion. But young people need to understand that atheism is a religion, and it's a religion of purposelessness, meaninglessness, and hopelessness.
No, it ain't, Ken. It covers nothing other than whether a god or gods exist. Meaning, purpose, and hope are not dependent on your imaginary friend. Also, I know you love claiming government funding to build your marvellous museums to misinformation, but it's not putting it to good use, is it? It's not helping anyone.
The other box on this form has also been gaining momentum among some segment of the population. Apparently there has been an increase in the number of Jedi in the past few censuses. Ironically, the aforementioned Atheist Foundation is trying to get people to quit claiming Jedi as a religion, as they claim it will falsely inflate the undefined religion category at the expense of their false idea of no religion. Apparently, the Force is not strong with them. Ken Ham tried to make a joke.
Well, that's not a bad joke, I suppose. Personally, I don't mind people putting Jedi, as it shows how ridiculous and fictional many religions, yours for example, Ken, obviously are when looked at from outside. A fictional religion doesn't come with all the shitty baggage that Christianity does either.
But when you really stop to think about it, why is there such a push by the Atheist Foundation of Australia for marking the no religion box? To get the no religion box put at the very top seems like it should be satisfaction enough. But no, an all-out media blitz has been and still is underway. As we've pointed out many times before, atheism is a religion. It's a religion which explains life without God. As mentioned here and outlined above, one definition of religion is a cause, principle, system of beliefs held to with ardour and faith. Yes, atheism qualifies as a religion.
Only if you skip the most important part, a belief in a supernatural power. That's the central part that makes the word religion descriptive and useful. If you take that out, you might as well not bother with the word.
Furthermore, why should the Atheist Foundation even care? In an atheistic worldview, when you die, that's it, or as Bill Nye said at the Ark Encounter, when you die, you're done. There is no ultimate basis for morality, for life, or even for logic. And although Bill Nye falsely claims that he arrived at his belief in atheism and life by natural processes based on the evidence, why should he trust his senses anyway? What gives him the basis for accepting what he perceives as reality? What makes his interpretations of the evidence right and a creation scientist's wrong?
Because generally speaking, creation scientists aren't actually scientists and don't know how to properly evaluate scientific evidence. Actual science goes through a rigorous and painstaking process of experiment and peer review to verify its veracity. Creation science is basically, this thing sounds like what my storybook says. They're not comparable in any way, chap.
Ultimately, to the Atheist Foundation of Australia, what difference should it make if one set of chemicals wrapped up in a blanket of skin believes something different from another? In their worldview, our brains are just doing what the chemicals and electric impulses in them direct us to. They can't even fall back on the relative morality of what society decides goes argument. At the last census, 2011, only 22.3% claimed no religion as their option on the form. They also have to at least recognise that many of the religious organisations their strategy may impact are those that, even in an atheistic worldview, do good work. Homeless shelters, Christian-based hospitals, Red Cross centres, charities and church food pantries all might be negatively impacted. So what does this show about their relative morality? It's relatively worthless. And really, what does it all matter in an ultimately fatalistic worldview?
Because if there's no afterlife, this world is all we get, and we bloody well better make the best of it.
Know what you believe. In light of this atheist push in Australia and in the United States, Canada and Europe as well, we would encourage you to check out the Atheism chapter co-authored by Ken Ham and Bodie Hodge in the soon-to-be-released World Religions and Cults Volume 3. This chapter looks at the secular humanistic beliefs of atheism and the problems it has with producing any ultimate basis, meaning, or purpose for its existence. Atheism as a religion is discussed in detail in this volume.
I don't think I can recommend a book by someone who doesn't know what a religion is and thinks non-avian dinosaurs coexisted with humans can.
But Christians know what we believe, have a firm foundation for that belief, and most importantly, have a sure hope for the future. As 1 Corinthians 15:22 states,
and I don't give a shit what your favourite novel says. Overall, I grade this article F. very poor. Complete failure to understand both what a religion is and how it doesn't apply to everyone. See me after class so I can slap you about the chops with a fossilised tyrannosaur femur. Well, thank you for joining me, Mr. NotJah, and for voicing Ken Ham for me. Ew. Do you have any thoughts on this whole article?
Oh, it was a load of shit. I don't think Ken Ham really understands what propaganda is, or that he himself pushes his own propaganda in what you might call a campaign. It's kind of what a lot of evangelical Christians do. And then bringing the children into it to say that the census has any intent on indoctrinating children one way or another religiously. It's just a bit ludicrous, not only on the face of it, but what do religions constantly do? Indoctrinate children. The whole idea is to get them while they're young. I mean, who are you trying to fool here, mate? What is this whining like a little bitch about top of the list? Are you serious, mate? You don't think people who are actually religious, who have got some sort of strong conviction of faith, you don't think they're going to go through the list to make sure theirs isn't there? And really, are they going to then pick no religion as opposed to other and just write theirs down in those humongous frickin' boxes there that stand out like a motherfucker? Like, how stupid are you, Ken? Why should he trust his senses? Come on, Ken. Probably the same reason you trust yours, for all the good that's doing you. What makes his interpretation of the evidence right and a creationist scientist's wrong? Generally, it would be a thorough peer reviewing, along with proper credentials, and years of experience actually doing their job. Now, this is something you should know, Ken, as you have got a Bachelor of Applied Science, an emphasis in environmental biology from QIT, and you've also got a Diploma in Education from UQ, and you went on to use that not too far from where I grew up in Dalby. So, Ken, you fucking know better, mate. And here's a good point, back to the whole child indoctrination that you seem to enjoy doing but don't like when other people do. Which version of this one true God, which version of the one true Christianity is pushed in the schools? And then what happens to the Christians that believe a different version of Christianity? Are they all just forced to go along with it and conform? Because this really goes along with that whole know what you believe. Christians know what we believe. We have a firm foundation for that belief. Fuck off. Seriously. There are more types of Christians than there are probably any other type of religion. You don't have a million different denominations of Jew. You have like 4. Are you not understanding how stupid your argument is? I won't lie, I honestly can't believe a fucking idiot like Ken Ham could have come from our country with the level of education that we have. It truly boggles the mind to see all that good free education go to waste. Anyway, that'll be a wrap for me like a good condom. Thanks very much, Badger, for having me on. This is a lot of fun. So I'm NotJah Witness. I take on JWs and other religious beliefs. I do whatever I can to expose and refute them where I can. I would absolutely love it if you'll come by for a visit and maybe even lay down a subscription. And if you are watching this on my channel, I'd just love it if everyone goes over to Bad Tempered Badger's channel and hits that subscribe button. Now, I feel I should part with some wise words, so I've been NotJah Witness, and remember, faith is like a tick on a croc's dick. It's not very important, but it's extremely annoying.
Well, thanks again, Mr. NotJah, and thanks for watching, everyone.